There are 3 different progressions for this pattern, all of which begin in the same way. We'll start with the easiest one and work our way up. So from the squat, you're going to sweep one hand around and across to the other side of the body. So out in front and across. Sweep around, reach across, and come into the lizard position. I've rolled onto the outside edge of my foot here, and I drop this hip down close to the floor without it touching the floor. Notice this leg is straight now. And then we'll reverse that movement to come back into the squat before doing the same thing with the other hand on the other side. Sweep around and across, sink down, reverse the movement, sweep around and across, sink down, make sure that leg fully extends and you come onto the knife edge of the foot, that you don't stay on the ball of that foot, and that the other heel is grounded in this moment as well, although it comes off during the transition. The second variation includes a push-up, so it starts the same way, and then we will place the other hand beside the same side foot. So notice here I've got one side of the body open, the right hand and foot are very far apart, the other side closed, left hand and foot are very close together. And here you'll keep your elbows tight as you lower down, touch the side of the head to the floor and push back up, then release that second hand and reverse the movement to come back. Replace the second hand, lower down, touch the temple to the floor, push back up, release the hand and sweep around. The elbows stay very tight to the body, this is important, and we touch the side of the head to the floor, not the front of the head. Elbows tight, touch the side of the head, push back up, reverse. The outside edge of this back leg might lightly touch the floor, but I'm not putting any weight through that leg into the floor. The final variation is the same, but it's a 1-arm push-up rather than a 2-arm push-up. So it begins the same way, sweep around, find the lizard, lower down, elbow stays tight, touch the side of the head to the floor, push up, sweep back to the squat, and alternate sides like so. Might just show you from the other direction. Sweep around, 1-arm version, or the 2-arm version. Okay, and you'll repeat this pattern for the prescribed number of repetitions. Set up in a long lunge here with the feet as far apart as you can manage for the drill. You can make it easier by bringing the feet in closer together. You can see my front knee is open past 90 degrees here. The feet are parallel and the hips are square. What I want to avoid is letting the hips turn out or the torso turn out to the side. Everything remains oriented forward throughout the movement. The feet can be slightly offset left to right to help with balance. You can also have your hands out to the side, your arms out to the side, airplane style to help with balance as well. From here, we'll aim to keep the torso centered between the feet while extending the back leg to lift up. So we straighten the back leg as much as possible, keep the torso centered, lower down, lightly touch the knee to the floor, and extend the leg to come back up. It's a light contact with the floor. You're not hitting your knee into the floor, and you're not putting any weight through the floor. Light touch, come back up. Cue a posterior pelvic tilt, a tail tuck to try to keep this shape throughout the movement, rather than just letting the lower back arch. We're trying to stay here and remain centered. Don't let yourself lean forward. Yeah, again, like I said, if you need to make it easier, bring the feet closer together. So you'll perform this movement for the prescribed number of repetitions on your weaker side first. Find a number of reps that's appropriate for that side. And which side is your weaker side is determined in part by the front leg and by the back leg, so it can be difficult to tell. And then match that number of repetitions on your stronger side second. We're going to look at 3 different progressions for this pattern, the first of which will be particularly useful if you don't have access to a back bridge. So beginning in the squat, you will reach back with one hand, and that hand is in line with the same side foot. From here, you're going to send your knees forward, so you'll come up onto the balls of your feet and your hips up as you rotate around. So the knees go forward, hips go up, and you rotate around as far as you can, and then reverse the movement. Notice as I do that, I lift my fingers off the floor so I can pivot on the hand. Knees forward, hips up, rotate around, pivot on the palm. Just go as far as you can, and then come back to the squat. And then go on to the other side. Reach back. Knees go forward, hips go up, and you rotate around as far as you can before reversing the movement and coming back to the squat. I'm pivoting on the heel of my palm, so my fingers are off, which allows the hand to rotate. Now it's important that you rotate around, and that as you rotate around and lift your chest to move into that bridge position, you reach toward the floor, not toward the ceiling. So I'm reaching around and down, which takes me toward a bridge. If I reach up, I almost always end up in this position. This is the opposite of the shoulder position we're looking for. We're not looking for this position where the shoulder is an extension. We're looking for this position where the shoulder is an flexion. Yeah, and you'll progress with this variation by rotating farther and farther toward getting the second hand down. You're reaching toward the floor. Focus on lifting the chest, extending through the T-spine, through the upper back, and also squeeze the glutes hard to protect your lower back. If you're feeling a crunching sensation in your lower back, you need to do more with your hips. You need to squeeze the glutes and also try to do more with the chest area as well. Lift the chest, press the hips up. So that distinction is I'm pressing my hips up, really trying to extend the hip, not just pressing my lower back up. And notice here my hips have stayed down. Hips up and rotate around. Okay, the next variation is the same, but we go all the way into the bridge. So it starts the same way, but we will continue the rotation around and find the bridge. The easier variation will be done on the balls of the feet, meaning you'll lift your heels up like in the variation I just showed. The harder variation will be to keep the heels down, which will require more of your spine. So adjust accordingly based on your current level of mobility, right? And like I said, if you're just feeling crunching and cranking, strain, even pain in the lower back, you're making a mistake. Back it off, focus on contracting the glutes to protect the lower back and lifting more from the chest, doing more with the T-spine. So the full variation of the rotational bridge starts the same way. If I go heels off, rotate around, find the bridge, continue rotating around to the other side, and then return to the squat, and then change sides, knees forward, hips up, squeeze the glutes, rotate around, pivot on the palm, find the bridge, continue rotating, and then come back into the squat. If you can do this with the heels down, then do that. So same thing, heels stay down. This will require more of the spine and shoulders. Now, if you can do that and that's comfortable for you, then you're going to perform bridge push-ups instead. So you could rotate around into the bridge, or you can start lying down on your back, bring the heels in close to the butt. The hands can be a little wider than shoulder width here, but close to the shoulders. And then you'll start by sending the hips up, squeeze the glutes. Again, really focus on keeping the hips working, keeping the glutes engaged. And then we will push up and drive the chest through the hands. So I'm not here. I'm pushing toward this position by straightening the legs. Aim to maintain this distance from the feet. So not sending the chest back here, but trying to keep it back through the hands as you lower down. Touch the shoulders to the floor and push back up. Keep the glutes on the whole time. And aim to keep the chest as far through the line of the hands as possible. Not back here, but through here on both the way up and on the way down. You repeat the pattern, whichever one's appropriate for you, for the prescribed number of reps. You're going to feel a lot of work happening in the front surface of the body during this drill, especially in the abdomen. And that's because the most important cue here is to be pressing the lower back down as hard as possible into the floor throughout the hold. So details with the legs are we're pulling the heels together and pointing the toes. So we're not here, we're here. You're also going to squeeze your thighs, contract the thighs. So the legs are locked straight and they're long, yeah? Arms are also reaching away from the center, so we'll lengthen the arms. The palms are facing in toward each other, and we're lengthening, reaching away, which draws the shoulders and the head off the floor. Yeah, and then from here, again, while pressing the lower back as hard as possible into the floor, really gluing the lower back to the floor, you'll find a position that's appropriate for you. So closer to vertical will be easier, and then closer to horizontal with the arms and legs will be harder. Regardless of where you are, you're pressing the lower back down, and you're keeping the arms and legs locked straight and off the floor, right? And the shoulders and head stay off the floor as well. So the easiest position would be somewhere here. Same cues apply. You could lower down into this position, or perhaps into something more like this position. Find a position for yourself that you can hold for the prescribed amount of time without losing any contact between the lower back and the floor.